Yeah, welcome to viewers. Today we will discuss about the agriculture, which is in part of economic geography. And here the study outlines, if you take here, importance of agriculture, factors of influence of agriculture, and we will discuss about agriculture types and global land use and types of agriculture crops, and even we will discuss about the dairying, meat production, wool production and fisheries. Now, if you look at the introduction about the agriculture, everybody knows that agriculture is a crucial and plays a vital role in the economy of any country. Like if you take developed countries and underdeveloped countries or developed countries. So, agriculture is the main important economic activity, and it plays a critical role in meeting our food, fiber and fuel needs of growing population, and contributes significantly to economies and employment worldwide. And here you can say that agriculture, very large portion of population depend upon agriculture as a livelihood. And you can see that if you look at the development of agriculture, traditional farming to almost to modern agriculture using the advanced technology like precision farming. And the main focus is now on increasing the agriculture productivity, ensuring the sustainability. And one more thing is that if you take the agriculture, it is influenced by many factors, and basically we will categorize into geographical factors and non-geographical factors. First, we will discuss about the geographical factors, and geographical factors are the main factors in agriculture which influence the agriculture. And the first one is topography, second one is climate and soil and biotic factors. Now, topography, as we can see that here depends upon the topography, there is influence of the agriculture. Like for example, in mountainous area the agriculture is different, and in plain areas the agriculture is different, cultivations can be done. And the another important aspect is that climate. Now, here if you look at here, there are drought resistant crops are grown, and another thing is that here some crops requires heavy rainfall and also loamy soils. So, that is also it depends upon the climate and soil. So, these are the three important factors: topography, climate and soil. And another important aspect is that biotic factors. So, biotic factors like weeds, parasites, pests, fungi, diseases impact the crops. And coming to non-geographical factors include social economic influences such as land tenures, depends upon land tenures and scale of operation, and depends upon costs and market access and transportation, and also the depends upon labor and government policies. Like some factors like minimum support price also it influence the what is called geographical agriculture. These factors shape farm production and agriculture patterns. Now, next coming to here agriculture, we will discuss about the agriculture types. So, we can broadly classified based on how farms are organized and types of crops grown. Now, we can major types of agriculture include simple subsistence farming, intense subsistence for agriculture, and plantation agriculture, extensive mechanized grain cultivation, nomadic herding, livestock ranching, Mediterranean farming and mixed farming. So, now we will discuss each and every farming type in detail. So, first we will discuss about simple subsistence farming. It is also called as primitive cultivation or shifting cultivation or slash and burn cultivation. So, all this comes under in simple subsistence farming, and here the farmers grow food only for themselves and their families. Whatever the small surplus left are either exchanged by barter or sold for cash. Now, let us look about the characteristic features of this simple subsistence farming. Now, the first thing is the farmers who will cultivate the land, first they will clear the land by slashing the vegetation and burning the debris, so that everything the vegetation will be cleared. And second thing is that they will grow the crop without using of any implements, hand implements, and also there is no use of human labor in farming. And like for example, no application of manures will be applied for this crops, and even the absence of draft animals also we can see here. And after using the cleared land for few years, they put land for fallow. Again they will shift to another land, and again they will do the same process, slashing the vegetation and burning the debris, and they will cultivate the land. So this type of cultivation we are calling as shifting cultivation, and this type of cultivation or farming comes under in the simple subsistence farming. And if you look at here, this type of cultivation is practiced in tropical rainforest, bush areas of Central Africa, Central America and Southeast Asia. It is called different names, milpa in Central America and zoom in Northeast India. So coming to the second one is, that is intensive subsistence agriculture. Oh, okay. This intensive subsistence agriculture is farming we can see in where there is a densely populated areas where land is limited. So this can be seen in the East and Southeast Asia, and farmers grow for their own consumption and to sell both. And here this type of cultivation we can see in our India. This is an example where there is a densely populated area and the land is limited. And here we can categorize into this intensive subsistence agriculture to paddy dominated intensive farming and non-paddy intensive farming. So paddy dominated intensive farming is the land is used intensively, often producing 2 or crops, especially the rice. So these areas are notably Kotang, China, Mekong Delta, Vietnam, Lower Meenam, Thailand, Ganga Brahmaputra Delta and Odisha coastal plains. So now next one is non-paddy intensive farming. So these are areas where less suited for rice. Farmers grow drought resistant crops like wheat, soya bean, barley and millet. Notable areas we can see that in North China and Manchuria, North Japan and Punjab. Next important type of farming is the plantation agriculture. So this is completely a commercial agriculture which is found in tropics and subtropics of Latin America and Africa and Asia. It refers to the large scale, they will cultivate in a large scale, and it is and it is capitalized and often highly centralized cultivation. These are called as cash crops, specially meant for your export. So the example if you take here, the tea, coffee, rubber, tobacco and etc. So this type of cultivation is this is called as commercial agriculture, and these crops are mainly meant for export. And next one is extensive mechanized grain cultivation. So if you look at this type of cultivation, here farmlands we can see in that particularly in the cropping area, and this can be seen in mid latitudes, example United States, Canada and Argentina and Australia. Here the farms are very large, cultivation is highly mechanized, they will use all the tractors or all mechanized these things, and extensive nature of cultivation with monoculture, single crop is grown, like for example wheat cultivation, completely single crop is grown in very large areas. This type of cultivation is called as extensive mechanized grain farming. And next one, this comes under a nomadic herding, is a type of extensive subsistence agriculture where herders migrate with their livestock to graze on natural pastures. So look at this figure, you can see that these are nomadic herders. So they rely on animals for survival rather than crops. Due to now advancement in farming techniques and irrigation, the importance of nomadic herding has significantly declined in recent years. So if you take the example Maasai in East Africa herding cattle in Kenya, Tanzania while moving to find out grazing land and water, and Bedouins in the Arabian desert, Mongolian nomads in Central Asia are the examples of this nomadic herding. And the next important agriculture type is called as livestock ranching. So this is completely commercial grazing, compared to the nomadic herding, it is a commercial grazing type of livestock over an extensive area. It is a form of agriculture adopted to semi-arid and arid land. It is been largely confined to areas of European settlement, and here sheep ranching in Australia, cattle ranching in Brazil, and dairy ranches in New Zealand. So, raising of sheep for wool and meat in the vast grasslands of Queensland and the New South Wales, that is about the sheep ranging in Australia, and capital ranching in Brazil, which is rearing cattle of beef export often on large deforested lands. Now, the another type of agriculture farming is that Mediterranean farming is a specialized form of commercial agriculture practiced in regions with a Mediterranean climate. So, this type of crops are grown in the parts of Europe, North Africa, South California, Chile, South Africa, and Southern Australia. Now, if you look at that here, the key features include viticulture, that is grape cultivation. So, most of the Mediterranean climate have this type of grape cultivation, we can see that includes in the Mediterranean farming, and wheat and vegetable farming during mild moist winters using the seasonal rainfall, and tree crops like olives, figs, and dates grown in unirrigated areas, and livestock grazing is seen in non-cultivated areas with a focus on dairy farming. And the another and the last one we can call as mixed farming. So, mixed farming, the name indicates that it involves the growing of crops and raising of livestock, commonly seen in northwest Europe. Farms here are moderate in size, growing crops like wheat, barley, oats, fodder, and root crops. Livestock like cattle, sheep, pigs, poultry provide additional income. This type of farming is found in areas such as Europe, North America, South Africa, Northeast Argentina, Southeastern Australia, and New Zealand. So, these are what you call, we have discussed about all the agriculture types in the world, we can see here. And the next one is about the land use. Land use is very much important. So, it refers the activity of humans carry out on land to obtain products or benefits from land resources. The best example is agriculture, recreation. So, now we will use the land and we will grow the crops and we will get the benefits. So, this type of we are calling as a land use. So, on earth surface 29% of is covered by land and 71% oceans, and in this land surface as 76% habitable land, and in that the 45% of land consists of agriculture. And now let us discuss about the types of agriculture crops. So, here the crops are classified based on their type, geographical area, climate, economic value. They include food crops, commercial plantation crops, and horticulture crops. So, you know the food crops. What are the food crops? Food crops are, it includes cereals like rice, wheat, maize, and pulses, and fall into this category. And commercial or plantation crops, it comes under like sugarcane, cotton, tea, coffee, and important commercial crops comes under in this commercial and plantation crops. So, and also we can see that fruits and vegetables are grown, and this comes under in the horticulture. Okay. Now, we will discuss the major crops and their distribution in detail. So, first we will take about the rice or paddy. Rice is a tropical crop primarily grown in monsoon region of Asia, with 90% of global production coming from countries like China, India, Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam. That is completely about the southeast of Asia. And ideal growing condition, if you look at here, it requires 20 degrees to 27 degrees centigrade of temperature, and the rainfall it requires 175 to 300 centimeters annually. And this is the very important ideal condition for the rice. And here the soils are very important. Fertile alluvial soils are required with high water retention to grow this rice or to cultivate this rice. And the another thing is plain surfaces are required or level surfaces are required to facilitate flooding during the growth. And if you look at the top producers of the rice, China is the top producer with 36% of global production, and India comes next 20% and Indonesia 8%. If you look at the exports and imports, top exporters are India, Vietnam, Thailand, and top importers are China and the Philippines. So, next we will discuss about the wheat. So, wheat is also the major crop which is grown throughout the world. Wheat is originated in Asia and Middle East East and is grown in temperate climates. It thrives in areas with temperature of around 15 degrees centigrade and it requires 30 to 100 centimeters of rainfall. Compared to rice, it requires less rainfall, and but the soils, if you look at, it requires light clay or heavy loamy soil. And if you look at the world's best wheat comes from the black earth regions of Ukraine and North America. If you look at the top producers, China, the largest producer, north region like Hongyu Basin and Manchuria. India, the second largest producer with major production in Punjab, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. And if you look at the third largest producer is USA, and it is characterized by highly mechanized capital intensive farming. And the top exporters of wheat are Russia, Canada and European Union. And next comes to here commercial or tea cultivation. Tea is a tropical shrub primarily grown in Asia, including countries like China, India and Sri Lanka. The best regions for cultivation include Yangtze Valley in China, the Brahmaputra Valley in India and the Kenyan islands. So, now we will see about the top producers of tea. China is the largest producer, producing 40% of world's tea. India is the second largest, producing varieties like Darjeeling and Assam tea, and Kenya ranks third globally, and these are the cultivation areas and the regions and top producers and of tea. And in the similar manner, we will also have a discussion about the coffee. Coffee is mainly produced in tropical regions and is classified into three types: coffee robusta, coffee arabica and coffee liberica. Here if you look at the top producers, Brazil, the largest producer accounting 29% of world's total coffee production, Vietnam, second largest producer mainly exporting robusta coffee, and Colombia, third largest producer known for high quality arabica coffee. We have discussed about the tea, coffee and also the commercial crop which includes cotton. Cotton is also a vital fiber crop categorized based on staple length into long staple, Egypt and USA. Median staple and short staple we can see in China and India. If you look at the climatic conditions of the cotton, it requires 20 degrees centigrade to 28 degrees centigrade of temperature, and rainfall 55 to 100 centimeters of rainfall it requires. And generally these type of crops are grown in the soils, fertile soils, saline soil with high water retention capacity. If you look at the top producers of cotton, China the largest producer, India second largest and USA is the third largest, followed by Brazil and Pakistan. Now, next year we will discuss about the dairy farming. So, here world milk production is almost entirely derived from cattle, buffaloes, goats, sheep and camels. Other less common milk animals are yaks, horses, reindeers and donkeys. So, in the last 3 decades, world milk production has increased by more than 59% from 530 million tons in 1988 to 843 million tons. If you look at during 2022, India is the world's largest milk producer with 22% of global production, followed by United States of America, China, Pakistan and Brazil. In the same way, dairying is the one, and second one is about meat production. So, if you look at the meat production, China was the top producer in meat production in the world, Europe comes in second, US third, Brazil fourth and Russia is in fifth position. And if you look at the average annual consumption of meat per person, the United States comes in the first, Brazil second, Canada third, followed by the United Kingdom, China, Kenya and India. Then coming to here wool production. Wool is also it is a product of what you call is animal like wool, which is natural, hard wearing and long lasting fiber produced by sheep all around the world and renowned for its thermal properties. So, if you look at here, the total production of wool in the world is about 19,61,175 million tons. So, here Australia produces 345 million kilos of wool every year, about 1/4 of the world's wool. This makes Australia the world's leading producer of wool, followed by China, Russia, New Zealand, Argentina, South Africa and the UK and Uruguay. So, here the Australia is the dominant exporter of wool, while the largest importer is China. So, please look at this figure here, the wool production in Australia, where they are extracting the wool from the sheep. And next one is about the fisheries. So, fisheries also one of the, it comes under in the agriculture sector, allied agriculture sector. We will discuss. So, if you look at here, generally a fishery is an activity leading to harvesting of fish. It may involve capture of wild fish and or raising of fish through aquaculture. Food, this is given by Food and Agriculture Organization FAO Rome. And fisheries are mainly categorized in three types. One is inland fisheries, marine fisheries and fisheries through aquaculture. So, Asia played a major role in the overall growth of fisheries and aquaculture production and represented about 70% of the total production in 2020. So, please look at this table. Here it shows about the total fish production of the world in 2018. Now, see here, the total fish production in 2018 is 178.5 million metric tons. In that, the total capture is of 96.4 million metric tons and the total aquaculture is around 82.1 million metric tons. So, if you look at the per capita consumption in kgs, it is about 20.3%. So, now if you take the fish production, the major exporters and importers of fish, the top 5 major exporters of fish in the world are China, Norway, Vietnam, Thailand and USA. These are the major exporters of fish. So, and then if you look at the importers, the 5 major importers of the world are USA, Japan, China, Italy and France. So, in this lecture we learned about the importance of agriculture and also the what are the factors which influence on agriculture, and then we have discussed about the agriculture types, all the agriculture types, and detailed explanation is given in about the each and every agriculture types, and also we discussed about what is a land use and how the structure of land use in the global statistics. And another thing, we also discussed about the types of agriculture crops like food crops, commercial crops and fisheries, commercial crops and also the horticulture crops. And in that mainly we have discussed about the major crops and their distribution, especially about the rice paddy or wheat, tea and coffee and cotton we have discussed. And not only that, we also discussed about the economic gain of from the agriculture which is practiced in throughout the world, like dairy farming, which is also very important in the agriculture, and meat production, that is very important in the agriculture sector, and wool production that we can see throughout the world. This is also one of the activity we can see in the agriculture activity. And even the fisheries, it comes under in agriculture allied activities. This type of fish production in the world and major importers and exporters we have discussed, all this it includes in the agriculture. Yeah, till now we have discussed about the importance of agriculture, and you know that all the countries like developed countries, developing countries and underdeveloped countries depend upon the agriculture. Agriculture is the main activity we can throughout the world, and this is generating the economy to all the nations. But the method of agriculture may be different from the underdeveloped countries to the developing countries and developed countries. So, some of the countries they will use even the subsistence farming, and some other countries they will use intensive subsistence farming, and some other countries they will use the commercial grain farming. And even now the technology is in such a way that we are doing all the activity, the agriculture things through drones, and also with a GPS enabled tractor, where we can see that precision agriculture farming, or we can see. So, we can say that the agriculture is from we can see from the traditional form to almost modern technology used in this sector. And the another thing is that here agriculture is completely influenced by the geographical factors and non-geographical factors. Especially some crops cannot be grown in some geographical areas, and some crops are grown in particularly in some areas only. Why? Because this agriculture it depend or influenced on the geographical factors. Suppose if you take here the categories of world agriculture types, all these agriculture types we have seen from subsistence, intensive, plantation, nomadic herding, livestock ranching also we have seen, and mixed farming, where the crops are grown and also the animals are reared. So, this type of the farming techniques we have seen, and another one here after that the land is very important. We have given what percentage of land is of agriculture. 45% of land is of agriculture use, and we have seen the types of agriculture crops like food crops, commercial crops, fruits and vegetable like horticulture crops. So, in that we have discussed about the important crops like paddy, and also it ideal growing conditions, and top producers and exports and imports of all the rice, wheat, tea, cotton and coffee, all these things we have seen. And not only that, here some countries have major agriculture activity that we can see commercially they are getting the economic benefit by dairy farming, and also meat production, and also through wool production. So, that also we have discussed how the dairy farming technique has which is almost it is a world's largest milk producer is our India with a 22% of global production. And coming to meat production also we have discussed the China was the top producer and Europe comes in the second. And in the similar way, wool production, which is also the major agriculture activity which we can see throughout the world, this type of wool activity especially we can see in the Australia and New Zealand, where they will completely, it is a commercialized farming, or like commercially they will extract the wool and they will export to different countries. And the last one which will also includes about the fisheries. So, this is also one of the regions for especially some countries, the most of them their food, for the food they will depend upon the fish, and they are the major exporters of fish. So, these are the things we have discussed in our chapter, and thank you very much.